All right, so I guess we'll jump right in. Hey everyone, I'm glad you all are able to be here on a wonderful Tuesday. And I just want to welcome you all to our Prepare lecture on summer opportunities. And so we'll just go ahead and start with a few introductions for all the peer mentors that are here. And so I'll go first. And so my name is Richard Wakama. I'm a fourth year in the college majoring in chemistry, and I'm on the pre-med track.
I can go next. So my name is Lizzie. I'm a junior in the college, and I'm majoring in anthropology and human bio with an ethics minor, and I'm also in the pre-med track.
I can go next. I'm Simon Moretti. I'm a third year as well, and I'm majoring in bio and chem, and I'm also on the pre-med track.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany. I'm a fourth year in the college. I'm majoring in MBB and minoring in nutrition, and I'm also on the pre-med track.
All right, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. We have one more peer mentor, but we'll introduce him later when he comes in. But okay. Okay, so at least for our agenda for today. So we'll first by talking about introducing some ways about what is there available to be involved with in the summer. We'll go over just to give you guys a couple of examples of summer opportunities that you guys can explore. And we'll also hit on some goals as to how you guys can make this summer the best of what you can make with it. And so we'll just give some specific examples of some various opportunities that pre-health students can do. And we'll just talk more about ways about you can actually make your summer plans, summer dreams an actual reality. And so we'll start by just giving a couple introductions. So I'll hand it off to Lizzie.
Yeah, so we'll start with just a brief introduction of what should I do this summer? How should I decide what I should do with my summer? So what should I do this summer is the big question you should be asking yourselves first and foremost. And you should start thinking about, what am I genuinely interested in? So the summer is all about pursuing your passions. So don't pick an opportunity just because you think it'll look a certain way, or, oh, other people are doing this, so I should be doing this. You should really focus on what you want to be doing with your summer, what will make you feel fulfilled and happy, and what you think will be fun. You also need to take into account that the summer is a great opportunity to relax. The semesters in college can be really challenging, really difficult, and you definitely need the summer break to give yourself and your brain a rest. So also make sure to make time for your family and your friends and yourself during the summer. So you definitely deserve it. So planning is a really important part of preparing for the summer. So asking yourself these questions may help you narrow down what you want to do. So the first question you should be asking yourself is, where do I want to be? Do I want to be in Atlanta? Do I want to be at home? Or do I want to be in a new place? You should also be asking yourself, do I take a summer class to fulfill certain requirements or meet certain deadlines? Do I want to be working? Do I need the summer as a time where I need to be making an income, or can I be volunteering my time? And that's a personal decision for you. Is there an experience that I've had in the past that I want to continue doing? And also, will I be traveling? Because oftentimes certain programs or certain things that you want to do over the summer require a long sort of commitment where you can't take time off, or you can take time off. So that'll all depend on whether you want to be traveling, and that should also factor into your decision making.
You can't see the next slide, right? Oh. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. My computer's a little slow. So now we'll talk about some goal settings and actually introduce some summer opportunities that you guys can explore upon. And so here on this slide, we just listed a couple of potential topics to explore. And so here we have just generally 4 categories. And so the summer, you have a variety of different opportunities that you guys can explore and what you want to make the most of within your summer. And so here we've just listed a couple of these opportunities. So one route is career exploration. And so the summer is a good time to be, if you're wanting to explore more pre-health professions or other careers, the summer is definitely a good time to be able to explore that. Whether you can do a clinical and or shadowing opportunity, or whether it can be involving a summer job or internship, whether paid or unpaid, getting like this exposure to like the healthcare field, actually working in like a real like health hospital setting, or even remote, due to COVID making it a bit difficult to be able to work in person. But you could also spend time during the summer to even just reaching out to physicians. And we'll talk more about these opportunities, but also we have volunteering, whether it be within like your local community or participating in a various service trip, whether long distance or local. And in addition to these, we also have academic pursuits. These academic pursuits, some common things are just taking summer classes or potentially doing study abroad programs, allowing you to be able to knock out some classes along the way, but also these could be fun, especially like with doing study abroad programs. And lastly, we have research, whether it be remote or hands-on research experiences. And you can pursue research in any field of your interest, which we'll talk more about later on. But one important thing to note is that whenever what you're trying to do throughout your summer, you should try to pursue activities that you have an interest for. Just don't necessarily do an activity just to check a box or just meet a specific quota. You should actually be involved in activities that you may have an interest for or have a passion for. And you want to try to have a meaningful experience, as there'll be a time for you to recall upon these experiences later on, if you plan to apply to any pre-health professional programs in the future. And so now we'll talk a little bit about some opportunities.
So the first category of opportunities we wanted to talk about was the career exploration. So on this slide, we've listed some resources for you, and these slides and this recording will be available for you, so you can go back and look at the links or take a screenshot of the slide if any of these interest you, to check out the links. But some examples we put on this slide were becoming an emergency medical technician or an EMT. Emory has its own EMT program called EAMS, Emory EMS. A lot of students do this. It's a great way to earn clinical experience and hands-on experiences like in the field. But you can also become certified as an EMT in your own local community over the summer. When you do that, you can come back to Emory during the semester and I think just take a few courses and pass another like one of Emory's certifications, and you can continue doing EMT work on Emory's campus. The next opportunity we have listed is scribing. So I believe we also have done another lecture series specifically just on scribing. So if this interests you, you can find that video on the PHA YouTube channel. But scribing is another great way to gain clinical experience, really witness those clinician-patient interactions firsthand, and is also very informative. Helps you decide kind of what fields of healthcare you're interested in. Shadowing, similarly, along the same track, is a great way to get involved in a clinical setting and also make connections with physicians. And you can contact a physician directly at Emory or at home for more information about this. Shadowing really depends on physician to physician and clinic or hospital, depending on the location. So just contact them individually for more information about that. And there are a whole host of other clinical experiences in the greater Atlanta area. So we have put a link to the PHA Prepare Clinical Experiences webpage. There's a whole list of clinical experiences within driving distance of Emory if you do plan on staying in the Atlanta area over the summer. But yeah, so this is just a little list, but not exhaustive.
And so the next opportunity we'll touch a little more on is academic pursuits. And so typically involving like if you're interested in doing any summer courses or summer study abroad opportunities. And so here on this first bullet point, we just listed a link to the summer programs at Emory where they give more details regarding like summer classes and like what is potentially offered. And so summer course enrollment for this upcoming summer will for 2022 opens this February. And so a common, like, I guess what's some examples of like some courses that some students have done, physics 141 or 142. I know that's been pretty common, at least like for students to take that over the summer. But just keep in mind that with these summer courses, you're taking over the summer and they're more fast paced. And so you just want to keep that in mind, that you'll just have to set time towards that as you're, if you're interested in taking any summer courses. And I know there are students can take summer courses in any additional fields, not just physics. And you can talk to any peer mentors with experience, like taking any other summer courses that we may have done. But in addition to that, one benefit of that is that you'll be able to save time during the semester. So you may not necessarily have to take any of these courses throughout the semester, which may be of benefit to you, just depending on what you would like to pursue. And then in addition, it might be good to explore summer study abroad opportunities. And I know this would be a really cool opportunity to do. Just to give an example, I know the chemistry department has a summer study abroad in Italy, where you can take a couple of summer courses, get credit for that, and you get to have a cool time in Italy. It didn't happen last year just due to COVID, but I think some summer study abroad programs are cool opportunities. You get to explore a new area, a new place, new area, and have a good time and be able to get some course credit along the way. And here we've put a link to the summer study abroad programs, so you can take a screenshot and get these links, and we'll also share some more of these links later in the presentation.
So the next category we wanted to talk about was volunteering. So there are so many different healthcare and pre-health related volunteer opportunities all over the country. So not just in the Emory, Atlanta area. Volunteering is an amazing way to solidify your passions for your chosen pre-health track, maybe decide what you do or don't want to do. It's also a great way of ruling certain things out. And it's also a great way to give back to your community. So at the end of the day, what you're doing, you're donating your time and your efforts in a meaningful way, which is always really wonderful. So we've also put a link to the PHA Prepare volunteer opportunities on the slide. So feel free to, again, screenshot the slide if you need. Oftentimes volunteer opportunities can overlap with clinical opportunities. So it's also a good way to work within a clinical setting, work with real human beings, patients and physicians and other members of the healthcare team to really learn what you like about certain fields of healthcare and what you don't. So like I said, clinical, which is interacting with patients in a healthcare setting, and non-clinical volunteer opportunities are great ways to give back to your community this summer. And there are also summer service trips, which are typically abroad trips where you donate your time and efforts to help a community in need abroad. So some of them are virtual. For example, I can talk about more about this later, but I did a global telebrigade, which was an online brigade where we volunteered with folks in Honduras with the community health workers there. So they have medical and dental brigades with the organization called Global Brigades. There's another organization called VITA, and they do medical, dental, and veterinary brigades as well. So those are two great organizations, and there are plenty others just like them.
And so now we'll talk a little about getting potential research opportunities over the summer. And so research is cool over the summer. One specific way you can get involved is potentially applying the summer undergraduate research programs. Oh, and if you're interested in research and want more info on that, we actually have a lecture coming up for that soon. So you should definitely check for that. And so at least for research, you could apply for summer undergraduate research programs through this link we've listed here through the NSF. These are just nationally sponsored research programs throughout the US. And so if you go on this link, you can just do a quick search for potential research opportunities of your interest. And Emory specifically offers a summer undergraduate program, sure. The deadline for that is January the 17th. So, and I believe it's open now. So you can follow these links to be able to get more information regarding that. And so you'll be able to do research, at least for Emory, like be paired with like a research mentor, and be able to do a summer project over the summer. And we can share a little bit more opportunity, little more details about like how the show program will be and how it actually is. But typically during the summer, you'll be able to work full time in a lab for the duration of the summer. You may be able to get paid for it or unpaid, depending on the specific program that you're applying to or involved with. But research is definitely a cool way to get experience, whether it's basic science research, clinical research, or translational research. Doing research over the summer is definitely a good way to be able to pursue a project of your interest in that time that you're given.
And that's not everything, right? There are so many more opportunities out there that go beyond the 4 categories we've listed. So we just want to reiterate that this list is definitely not exhaustive. There are so many opportunities over the summer. And whatever you find that you think will make a meaningful summer, you can make meaningful connections, give back to your community, and learn something as well while having a fun time is a meaningful and productive use of your summer. So we definitely explore all these different opportunities with an open mind, and really dive deep. So we wanted to highlight a few additional programs, and we have some slides on these after this, so we'll touch on them in more detail in a minute. But the first is the Summer Health Professions Education Program. It's geared towards first and second years, and the deadline is February 15th, 2022. So this is a great program, again, to introduce you into new healthcare fields for underclassmen. It's a full-time summer program, so this is a great opportunity. The second is Emory Sure Affiliates Research Program, which is kind of a branch off of the Emory Sure program. We'll talk about both of those in more detail in a moment. And lastly, just to check out the PHA blog for more posted summer opportunities. PHA is constantly posting on their Instagram, on their blog, on other forms of social media, all of the different summer opportunities that come up. We really want you guys to get involved with anything that you feel passionate about. So definitely explore these opportunities as much as you want.
And so this slide just gives some more specifics regarding the SHPEP program, or the Summer Health Professions Education Program. And so it's mainly geared towards freshmen and sophomore students, specifically targeting underrepresented minority students. And so they do a lot of activities regarding like professional and career development activities, allowing you to explore various healthcare fields of your interest. So it's a really cool way to get that career exploration aspect if you're interested in like exploring more fields within healthcare. And so I know a couple of people in mind that actually did the program, and they really liked it. They have like 12 unique program sites, and you'll be able to get a stipend. Yeah, get a stipend. They provide housing and meals and potentially travel assistance if needed. And so I think it's a really cool way and a good program geared specifically for freshmen and sophomores, especially if you're trying to explore like what the various fields that the healthcare field has to offer.
So we wanted to touch again on the Emory Research Experience Program called SURE, and the sister program, the SURE Affiliates. So the Emory SURE program, you receive a stipend and housing. You cannot be enrolled in summer classes, so this is more considered like a full-time job, a full-time research position, and you must have a mentor and a project identified prior to starting the program. So the application is live. It launched yesterday, and I believe it's due on January 17th, 2022. There are a couple aspects of the project, but this is really geared towards students who are involved in a research lab, who have a meaningful project set up and want to explore that more full time. So you would be participating fully for 10 weeks during the summer, 40 hours a week, which would be full time. Engage in seminars, workshops, discussion groups, and scheduled activities, which really guide you along kind of the research path. And then you finally present your work in a poster, an oral presentation at a symposium at the end of the summer. So it's a really great experience and really helps prepare students for continuing down the research route if you're interested in research. The next we wanted to highlight is Emory Sure Affiliates. So you do not receive a stipend or housing. You can take a summer course along with this. So I think it's a little bit less rigorous. But I do think you still attend similar seminars, workshops, and things like that. So it's still a good research experience. And I think some of our peer mentors could probably talk a little bit more about that. But it's just kind of it's like a baby shark program in a way. So both are really amazing. And Emory Research has a lot to offer. So would highly recommend these two programs.
All right, and now finally, we're just going to conclude for our presentation and just talk a little about how you guys can make your plans into action. And so just to keep in mind, like when you're trying to consider all these various opportunities, you keep in mind that some of these opportunities, whether it be a particular like summer research program that you're planning to apply for, or a specific volunteer program, just keep in mind that these programs may have applications. So this is just to highlight that. Make sure you guys have a resume or CV just made and trying to highlight like key experiences in that specific area that you're interested in. And so we'd recommend like going to the Career Center to get like specific tips and give you guys get feedback regarding like your resume or CVs, and also keep maybe also having a cover letter just in case like if any of these respective programs like require like a cover letter in mind. And yeah, just keep it, just do your research regarding these programs. Just make sure like these programs that you're trying to look for are of your particular interest, just to make yourself like a stronger candidate and highlight these relevant experiences that you may have already to make yourself stand out. And then sorry.
Oh, I was just going to add as well, if you do plan on contacting a PI or a clinician to shadow, make sure you also do your research on, you know, their background, so their prior publications, their specialties and things like that. It's best to go in kind of informed about the person you'll be contacting, and just keep in mind deadlines. Make sure you keep a planner organized and a calendar, because these deadlines can definitely sneak up on you, especially since they are somewhat early and they're during the semester, right when we come back, like in January and February. So just remember to keep a note of all the deadlines coming up. And with that, I think that's our last slide. So next we wanted to kind of introduce the peer mentors again, kind of open the floor for them to talk about their summer experiences, because everyone has such a unique summer experience over their 3 and 4 years here at Emory. So we wanted to share our experiences with you, maybe inspire you to do a certain experience or not. So we'll open the floor up to the peer mentors, and also feel free to drop any questions in the chat for us and we'll be happy to answer them. So thank you for listening. And I guess we can hand it over to the peer mentors. Whoever wants to start kind of talking about what their most meaningful summer experience was and what they would recommend doing.
I can go. So I think my most meaningful summer experience so far was my second year summer, because first year summer was kind of weird with COVID. So a lot of things that ended up happening that like you got accepted into got moved virtually. So like some of them got canceled. But with my second year summer, I applied to an REU through an NIH program. So it was at Johns Hopkins. So it was another research program that was like through these REUs that was mentioned prior. The experience was pretty fun. Like it was exactly like Emory Sure in terms of the amount of work and like determining like if you can like take classes or not. So you had to have like full-time commitment towards the research, but it was a research that like I built off of something that I was doing in my freshman year and sophomore year. So like that's what I found like very important for me, was like trying to build off what I've already done and seeing if like the summer experiences at somewhere else could help like in terms of what I'm doing and how it's being done. Overall, I think like as Lizzie mentioned before, like in terms of like emailing and reaching out to different PIs for the research, it's very important that you actually like know what they're doing and why they're doing it, so that it's not just like you're applying just to get in, and rather that you're actually passionate about what you're doing. So that's like a tip I would like mainly have for like RUs and all these programs where you have to match with specific faculty, including like Emory Sure. So yeah.
I can go next. I can do like a brief thing of what I've done over my 3 summers at Emory. So my freshman year, Just finished my first year, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I started looking, I knew I wanted to go home. So that's, we talked about that in this lecture about like, where do you want to be? So I was like, I definitely want to go home. So I started looking around at the universities around my house. And then I was like, okay, let's try to like get a research opportunity. So I just did what everyone here does too, start cold emailing people. And then I got into a lab at USC, and like that was my first time being in a research lab. So it was really nice to have that guidance. And then when I came back to Emory, I found another lab and I kind of already had the techniques and skills that they wanted. So it was a little easier to get into a lab. And then the summer after my second year, that was the COVID summer. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to do? I still want to contribute even though there's COVID. So I heard a lot of people talking about EMT, and I was like, okay, I think I could do this. So I did a accelerated course for EMT during COVID, and I was kind of lucky because I don't know if it would be considered lucky, but it was an online course, but I did the like 5 or 6 week accelerated. So there was like an exam every day. It was proctored, so it wasn't like any easier. And then we had to go in for skills, like 6 hour day skills every week, even amongst COVID, and it was fine. I think that if anybody wants to do an EMT course, back at home, and not with Emory Eames, it's always like a good idea, I think, to do an accelerated course because you can finish it in a little over a month, and then go take the NREMT, which is the National Registry exam. And then whichever states use the National Registry, you can go ahead and get licensed in those states. So like, it's just a bunch of like logistics, fingerprinting and everything like that. So after I got my California license, I also got licensed in Georgia. And then, so that took like the whole summer basically, because you have to study for your skills exams after you finish the course. And then you have to take the actual NREMT and then get all your documents in and then to become like fully licensed. So that was my second year semester, or summer. And then for my third year summer, it was like everything was like kind of opening back up. It was people were getting vaccinated, so it got a little better. I went with Vita to Guatemala, and we went on this like medical service trip, and it was a really fun time. So if you're interested in that, I can go into that a little more later. And then I came back and I started working as an EMT over the summer. It was a really great way to get clinical hours, and like it depends on the type of calls you do. So I mostly did like critical care transport, and there was always a nurse with me. And so like I felt that was like my comfort space. I know a lot of my coworkers really like doing like 911 calls. It was like a little too much for me though. But there's like different things in EMT that you can do. So you can also do ER tech with this EMT license, and just like it's not all about the hours because it is really tiring too, but it's like a very rewarding thing, especially when like you have the more simple calls like taking people to dialysis and stuff. You kind of build a relationship with those patients because you pick them up like twice a week, from their homes, and you take them to dialysis, you take them back. So it's pretty rewarding, I would say. But yeah, if you have any questions about EMT, you can just shoot me an email or put in the chat.
Yeah, so I can go next. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alex. I'm a senior NBB and religion major, but over my summers, I kind of took that time to get ahead in some of my courses. So the summer after my first year, I stayed on campus. As we talked about, like, where do you want to be? I kind of knew myself and knew that I wanted to stay in Atlanta. I thought that would be the most productive for me. Instead of going home, there weren't a lot of options in the small town that I'm from. So I decided to stay in Atlanta, and I took organic chemistry, so Chem 203 and 204 with the labs. Each course was 6 weeks long, and they were very intensive. I'm not gonna lie, it was really difficult. There was like no time for anything else but chemistry, but having that time to really dive deep into one subject really, really helped the way that I understood organic chemistry. I know Emory, like when I did it, Dr. Weinshank was available over the summer, and I'm pretty sure he still is offering summer courses, and he's a fantastic teacher. And in those courses, it's a lot smaller. So we only had like one lecture, one lab section, and there were only about like 25 of us. So we really got to know the professor. We got to know, we had one TA, got to know them, and it was a very good way of like building relationships, diving deep into the science that's very, very difficult, and kind of freeing up space the next year. So for the next school year, I had a lot more time to pursue my extracurriculars, and I think that that was a good advantage. I really took that next year to build up on my student organizations and any volunteering during the year, because I wasn't having to work and really focus on all the really tough sciences at once. And then my second year summer, I kind of had the same idea. I wanted to do an EMT program, but that was the COVID summer for me, and that got canceled. So with very few availabilities and options, I decided to take my language over the summer. So I took Spanish, and that was a lot less work than organic chemistry, but I really enjoyed it. It gave me, I was doing Spanish every day, and it really helped like develop my language skills, because it was the only thing I was focusing on. It gave me that time to, make sure that as I was learning something, I had a chance to practice it right away. So that helped me a lot, and I really enjoyed doing that. And it was another good way to get a language out of the way, where it doesn't take away from some of your core science classes. Because in the next year, I was taking biochemistry, and some things like that, where it takes a lot of time. And I was also studying for the MCAT. So having a completely different field like language on top of that, I think would have been a lot. So it gave me a good opportunity to really spread out those GERs. And then last summer, I continued working in my lab. I didn't do any sort of program, but I'd been working in my lab for a while. So they knew me and they offered me a paid position. So it was great. I was continuing the work that I have been throughout my undergraduate career, but instead of getting credit, I was getting paid this time, which was awesome. Really, really nice to make some money over the summer while also contributing to your med school resume and image and things like that. And then overall, the work I put in over the summers with courses has really made my senior year a lot easier. This year, I've been applying, so having a lot lighter course load over these final 2 semesters has kind of been a godsend. I've been able to focus a lot of time on interview prep and on writing my secondaries and things like that. So I would really recommend trying to figure out ways that you can kind of get some experiences under your belt. It doesn't have to be with like online courses or in-person summer courses, but just really taking the time of the summer to get ahead in your goals, and then you will really reap the benefits later on.
Thank you all for sharing. I guess I could also talk briefly about my summer experiences. I've only had 2 summers with, being an Emory student. So, and my first summer was the COVID summer. So that summer I did want to go home. However, home is New York City for me, which was COVID hotbed. So that wasn't great. But I was able to do some remote clinical research with a physician at a hospital nearby. So I was able to connect with a physician in that way, did some clinical data analysis and things like that, and ended with writing an abstract for and a poster for presentation at a small conference. So that was a great way to use some of my summertime. It wasn't through a lab or anything. It was just through a physician who had a really interesting research question that I wanted to help her out with. I also ended up taking calculus that summer last minute, which was also a really great use of my summertime. But that was also COVID summer, so things were a little bit weird. This past summer, however, I decided to stay in Atlanta. I knew I wanted to take a summer course to keep up with my kind of pre-med timeline, make sure I had all my coursework done. So I took physics 141 and 142 over the summer. I will have to say as a disclaimer, it is not easy to do that. I'm not a math and physics oriented person, and it was definitely, the accelerated pace was definitely not easy. You do have to be prepared to put a lot of time and effort into that course, but I do think it was definitely worth it because now as a junior, I don't need to take that course and I can focus instead of my MCAT studying and other parts of my other courses, you know, for my major and things like that. So while it was difficult during the summer, I definitely am happy I did it. At the same time, I was also working full-time as a lab technician at a lab here in the School of Medicine. So that was also a really great opportunity. Like Alex, I was able to get paid, which was also pretty great. And so that was a great opportunity for me to develop my lab skills moving forward. So now, you know, they see me, they know that I have that I've been trained by them over the summer pretty rigorously. So now they kind of trust me to do experiments and things like that later on. So using the summertime to get trained, to get acclimated to a lab environment is a really great opportunity moving forward in your undergraduate career. So you can start doing your own experiments, maybe looking towards a thesis and things like that later down the line. So I did those two things, and I also just for a week did the Telebrigade with Global Brigades in Honduras, which was also an amazing volunteer opportunity. I learned a lot about cultural competencies, language, and healthcare. So that was really wonderful too, very rewarding. And the volunteer opportunity kind of culminated in us making a video about certain chronic conditions for folks in the rural communities of Honduras. So all in all, it was a great opportunity. Could not recommend Global Brigades enough. So that is me. And Richard, if you want to close this out.
Yeah, and so I can share briefly, I guess, my 3 summers since being at Emory. And so the summer after my freshman year, honestly, I didn't really do a lot. I just did like physics 141 at a community college. And so I just like spent the summer like doing classes and just like spending some time with family. And I guess like summer after freshman year, it's pretty chill. Like just that was like the only class like I had to focus on, but I was able to just kind of knock that out the way. And then later on, I did like physics 142 like junior year, spring semester junior year. So they weren't necessarily like connected. And then the summer after my sophomore year, so that was during COVID. And so I was able to get an internship with the American Chemical Society. And so the purpose of the internship was to help underrepresented minority students, helping them get more involved within STEM work and STEM research. And so it was really cool. It was kind of like a summer, virtual summer camp. And so basically, we were basically working with high school students and like helping to be able to learn more about STEM careers related in chemistry and relating it to all these various fields of like medicinal chemistry, physician scientists, various other professions. And we were like doing like one-on-one group meetings, workshops every week. And so that was a really cool experience. And just being able to like work with high school students, like being able to like be a mentor for them, which was really cool. And then the summer after, so this past summer, so I was able to do the Emory Short program. And so I was able to work in the School of Medicine. And so I had previously worked in the lab the spring of junior year. And so I matriculated during the summer as well, just to get more hands-on experience. And so during the summer, I was able to kind of like develop my skills more in the lab and actually work on a more learn more techniques and try to get like a more independent project. And I was really grateful for that because now I'm still working in the lab now. And like from that research experience, it kind of helped me to think about what I could potentially do for an honors thesis because I'm planning to do that in my senior year. And so the summer was like a really good opportunity to get just to get more independence, I feel like, and get more skills and actually like try to learn about all these various techniques. And I think it's really useful whether like you stay at Emory or go to another college, like just getting those skills so that you can like be able to like transfer those skills to a completely different lab or a new experience, which I really enjoyed. Yep. But I just want to, I guess that wraps up for my summer experience. And I thanks for all the peer mentors for sharing their experiences. But now I think we can just leave the floor for the audience. If you guys have any specific questions regarding any of the experiences that we have all have mentioned, or any questions regarding our presentation for today. And if you guys have any questions that are burning, feel free to just say it out loud or type it in the chat. Any takers?
And if you guys don't have any questions now, you have our names. Feel free to reach out to us over email. I'm sure if you just type our names into Outlook, it'll pop up. So feel free to email us with any questions you have about our specific experiences or about the PowerPoint or just summer experiences or being a human in Atlanta over the summer. Any questions you may have. Also, we have drop-in hours Monday through Friday. I think 11 to 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you can also stop in, make an appointment with us, whatever you want to do. But we're here to answer your questions. But thank you again for coming and spending your Tuesday evening with us. And have a great rest of your week, guys. Thanks for coming.
Oh, and one last thing. If you guys want to get any of these links that we provided throughout the presentation, you guys can take a quick screenshot of this, like just the slide just has all the links that we listed throughout the presentation. Yeah, thank you guys for being able to come.
The PowerPoint and the presentation will be on the PHA YouTube channel, I believe, Brian. So if you're wondering, it'll be there. And maybe we can also get it posted elsewhere if that's easier, but it'll definitely be on the YouTube. Thanks for coming. Yay, done.
Good job, you guys. That was a really good presentation.
Yeah, I think that went really well.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Bye,
Bye,
friends.
y'all.
Bye.
Oh, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.